arts. Hi everyone, I'm Tobe and it's morning here out in Los Angeles, California. So I woke up very early to join this. So that's an amazing opportunity for you guys. So for me, I have a computer science background, bachelor's in computer science, master's in computer science, postgraduate in AI and ML. So I've always seen myself to be that techie girl, even back in Nigeria before I moved to the US. I started as a tech support, right? So that's also another encouragement to all of you out there. You can start from any role and you can slowly level up. You guys heard me, Carl? It's like leveling up is one thing you don't want to stop doing. So I started as a tech support, transition into web dev, transition into data analyst, data scientist, and currently leading the AI initiatives. So one thing that inspired me is the results, the outcome. I see myself as a problem solver. It's like even as a tech support, I used to build the computers, the servers, and all of that stuff. But it's like at the end of the day, there's always a positive outcome. So it kept me moving. As a web developer, I put together codes. I'm able to bring something to life, right? So the outcome is what keeps me going. And currently at Google, I build all the data and AI solutions that we use in making informed decision to all the free YouTube users so that way we can get them to subscribe to the YouTube premium, right? So that's powered by AI, machine learning, and data, and the result is significant. So currently, the type of result we're talking about is impact on paid signups as well as ROI, right? So as we speak right now, this year alone, I was able to drive over 250% ROI for YouTube, right? So it's just the results. There's just make sure whatever you're doing, you're able to quantify the impact. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Wow, that's wonderful to hear. And we can hear from Chioma next.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Choma. Um, I think my story is a little bit different, in the sense that I didn't have a traditional technical background. Um, my background is actually pharmacy, so I did um, graduate as a pharmacist, but one of the things I wanted to do was build solutions at scale, right? And that was what prompted me to start exploring how I could build solutions at scale. Of course, it started with trying to build solutions in healthcare at scale, and then just deciding that, okay, I don't want to be boxed into healthcare alone. I wanted to do something, broadly. But yeah, I after that I just went in. I started first as a software engineering intern, just maybe a year or two after school, um, as a pharmacist. I know it was intense at that time because a lot of people will say, "Oh, you just came out from this tough course and you're jumping into something else." Um, they were like, "You were supposed to, um, you know." take some time to enjoy this course, reap the rewards. And I was like, yeah, I had just rather start on time. And yeah, I've gone that way since. Um, and that's just it, being a builder, proactively supporting those who are also building big visions and who thoroughly want to see the world better and different. That's something that truly excites and inspires me. And this has shown up in all the ways that I work because I'm consistently um, ways to create products with my teams you know, that impact, that make an impact both on the people that use it and for the organizations. And also, I love to teach, right? So currently a faculty at currently a faculty. I just love teaching. in two places actually. I do love teaching, I do love coaching, I invest in startups as well, because that's one of the key things that when I tell people I like to power the people who make change. You got to put your money where your mouth is. I do that too, right? And then support founders in general. But yeah, that was the theory of change. Basically, how do I skill the things that I love to do as a builder, as an engineer as well? And yeah, one of the key things is also just learning to also grow your career, right? In I think that was about 4 years ago when I started out in artificial intelligence. It was on the surface, right? Because it was, of course, leading product. I didn't need to be an AI engineer, right? But the the desire to keep building products from that place of emerging technologies, actually making sense of it, threw me into that direction, and I just spiraled from it. It's a black hole, but yeah, let's go see what we're going to build with this. Let's go, create new products with this exciting new technology, and not being afraid to say, okay, yeah, I'm going to be starting afresh, because you will get into this area where you totally don't know anything, right? And then you go in and ask all the wrong questions and feel like you're a fool. Yeah. Just being comfortable with that helped me to just, keep increasing like my technical capability, especially in building AI and automation products. So yeah, those are one of let me just stop there.
Okay, thank you so much, Choma. And Emily, we would love to hear from you next.
Yeah, I guess just to answer your question about what kind of makes me want to do the work that I do, maybe just for a little bit of background, I'm a postdoc at CMU Africa, and starting in a couple of months, I'll be an assistant professor at the University of California, San Diego. And my research is between computer science and economics. And my background, I was coming from computer science, and increasingly more and more I'm kind of applying tools from computer science in economics, and especially in problems related to poverty measurement and humanitarian aid programs. And yeah, I guess just in terms of what inspires me, well, I think it's impact of the work, like getting to do work that I can see is having an impact and hopefully having a positive impact. That's got to be the like number one thing. Chioma mentioned teaching, and I think also for me that's become a really big measure of, I guess again, kind of the impact of my work, but something that makes me want to like get up and do something every day when I am teaching a class. I think something about teaching is like really just like it's like one of the coolest things you can do is to try to pass on knowledge to people and try to like help people in some small way to further their careers. And so I think that like as I've sort of progressed in my career in academia, that's become an increasingly important part of what I want to do and what makes me excited to do my work. So yeah, I think those are the two big things for me.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Ayobami, could we hear from you, please?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name is Ayobami, but most people call me Ayo. So I'm currently a PhD student between University of Manchester and University of Melbourne, as you saw from my bio. I came from a computer engineering informatics background, but now my research is kind of sitting in between wearables, data analytics, as well as epidemiology as a whole. So it's more like a big shift from completely zero medical and then moving into a bit of medical and a bit of analytics in between. So just to connect what Emily Chioma and Tobias said, I think all of us are inspired by wanting to build something. And for me, why I wanted to do this was mostly because one day I came to realize that we all just came to this world and we came so naked. And the first person who delivered you definitely had some background, some medical background training. And it's a human being who wrote the syllabus that they use in learning how to deliver a child. all the tools, all the utensils, and everything used in the hospital was also made by someone. And then it was like, so I'm just one sole person in the middle of this whole world, and everything that surrounds me is made by someone, even preventing me from being naked. The powder on my face, the hair, everything is made from someone. So instead of just being just a mere user, I also wanted to contribute. And as everyone have different areas where they want to contribute to, some people want to be at the forefront where they meet directly with the clients, where they made end user product. For me, I wanted to, write books. I wanted to be in research where I can get to investigate things and put it down in writing, even if it's not all of it that is achievable right now, but people coming behind us could see those things and then implement it. Either, definitely science is always evolving. If there is a way someone can refute what you've done or increase the knowledge and extend it, and that's what made me to say, okay, yeah, I want to be in academics, and I want to be in academics in such a way that I want to marry technology together with healthcare together, and then be able to use that to improve the life of people. And also, given that wearables is so common, and just looking at the way wearable is progressing, it's going to be a time where it's going to be so infused in our life that we might not even be using our phone as such again. It may just be all automated. And so if there is a way we could leverage the information from this to then help people, that was what I wanted to do. And that quest, just to be able to contribute and not just use alone, is why I decided that I was going to be just in the space of academics. But you can't just be in a space without knowing where exactly you want to be, because I think it's very important to also know which niche or where do you want to feel. But then you won't know which niche or where you want to feel unless you just have like a vague idea of what you want. As you heard to research get evolving, just get into the field first. And the moment you step into the field, little by little, that little motion start bringing clarity into what precisely you want to do. And the fact that I get to wake up not being super sure of like 100% on what I want to do, but I know, okay, I want to be in medicine. I want to marry wearables together with data analytics, and it's in healthcare. And mostly I like something related to mobility, because definitely you want people to have their independence. You want people to be able to attend, functions. It might look simple, it might look easy, but then the moment you're not able to step out of your house or attend your friend's events because you are not able to work, you realize that it's a big deal. And so for me, it was like, okay, I don't have to have the full clarity, but then each day working towards that area of research, I become much more clear and much more sure what I want. And that's what inspires me every day. And that's what's going to keep keeping me in this field, because research is a thing that is never fully done. There's always something to expand on, something to improve on. And that's why I'm here. And I hope you people that are listening also, you also realize that it's only motion that can give you the clarity you're looking for. Just having a vague idea of the area you want to apply it in and just stepping in, no matter the fear, no matter the worry, you're not sure, you're not 100%, that's fine. Just starting from somewhere, from just by mere starting, everything starts unveiling itself one day at a time. And with time, you find yourself that, oh, things I didn't even realize I know it was within me. And then you then start finding ways to measure your success yourself based on the industry where you find yourself, or based on where you find yourself. And then you can even get a more idea and clarity on next steps. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayobami. Thank you. Thank you all. That was so profound. And my next question would go to Chioma and Emily. So, what are some common challenges you have faced in your field, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I can start. One of the biggest challenges that I still feel maybe sometimes is that possibly imposter syndrome. Who am I to be here? Who am I to be this amazing? Because yes, I know I'm awesome, right? Thank you. Don't mention, right? Yeah, but then who am I to dare to do big things, right? Who am I to be in this space and feel it and have a voice here? Who am I to tell people what to do, right? But every single day, reminding myself that I was created with a purpose different from my gender, right? Makes all the difference, right? Living from a place of true purpose gives you identity. I wasn't just called here to be a product manager or this. You were created to be this whole person who found themselves and made sure that you left the world a little bit better, right? And I take that seriously because that is a huge part of who I am. How dare I not to fulfill that mandate? How dare I? So yeah, one of the key things also is also being confident enough, right, to continue to share your ideas, even in spaces where you're the only woman. And usually, truly, I do find myself in those spaces quite a lot, right? And usually, especially in my work, not just as a product manager, but in supporting founders, I tend to see that a lot more founders are men, right? And you have to show up and bring that partnership that they are seeking. One of the key things I've always tried to do in those scenarios is to craft the narrative of those partnerships, right? What are the outcomes that we want to get to, and then how do we move from point A to point B? How do we ensure that we get from 0 to 1 in helping them achieve those goals? And being truly clear on what we're doing has always been what helps me. And defining success, right, for all those partnerships are very, very has been very essential to achieving those results that helps me to keep showing up every single day and keep getting recommended by them in my work. So yeah, those are some of the challenges. Also, keeping up to date. That's something you just have to keep learning in this space. You just have to keep learning, right? And you have to do it in such a way that you're balancing your career and at the same time you're learning, and at the same time you're trying to be visible. It can get overwhelming, especially if you're a woman with a career, a family, being everything to everyone, while also deciding that you want to build this career, you want to scale your success. So yeah, those are the challenges. But like I said, how dare I not fulfill my purpose, right? How dare I not be awesome? So having that mindset that there is just no other choice out there, right? Other than to be myself every single time and to become the best version that I could ever become and leave the world a lot better helps me to keep making that progress. And it's really not that tough to be awesome, in this world right now. It's not, right? It's just that the few people who become awesome really then tend to pay all, like they pay for it literally with blood, sweat, tears. You're sitting, like, even my kids talk about how much of the hours that I spend just sitting and learning and working, right? They were telling me, oh, I think you're having the most fantastic time of your adult life. And I was looking at my 9-year-old saying something like that. And I said, why? She was like, you're never bored. And it's not like you always are entertained. You just work. You just do these things or learn, right? So it's not that difficult to be awesome. It's just having clarity, having a true purpose, and sticking to it. The path is often not that it's not often not that easy. But yeah, if you continue to own that path, then and keep showing up regardless of how tough, crying for that 5 minutes sometimes helps, right? But then telling yourself, I mean, there is no other side of this. So yeah, we move forward. That helps me, and that has helped me to, that's the mindset that has helped me to keep overcoming challenges. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we would love to hear from you now, Emily.
Yeah, and I guess so I'm obviously more on the academic side, and so maybe my challenges might reflect that a little bit, but I think they might also be a little bit generalizable. I think one challenge I encounter a lot is being sort of interdisciplinary, like especially when it comes to communities that are centered around tech or centered around computer science. I guess I did come from a computer science background, but increasingly I work a lot also in the social sciences, and a lot of my methods and research draw on the social sciences perhaps more than computer science. And I think at least I've encountered kind of, attitudes of like if you're not doing pure tech, like you're not at the top of the pyramid, like you're somehow less. And so I think I found that to be a challenge. I guess the way I've handled that is just like I want to do the work that makes me really excited and makes me feel like I'm, like doing something that's useful. And if that means turning away or not being like a pure computer scientist or a pure coder or whatever, then I'm like perfectly happy to to make that sacrifice. So yeah, I think that's been one challenge, just kind of navigating being interdisciplinary and not maybe fully belonging to any particular field. Um, and then the second challenge, and again, this is maybe a little bit specific to academia, but I guess this probably parallels also in other areas, is just kind of trying to balance like I guess, impact with sort of the incentives that I have in my work, which is mostly to publish research papers. And so as I would imagine it might be similar also, for example, if you're working at Google, like trying to have impact and also contribute to the company's bottom line. And so I feel like for people, and like I think when we were talking about why we do the work we do, all of us talked about impact. But that's not usually the only incentive that is existing in your job. And so I think sort of figuring out how to balance impact with the other things that you have to do to meet your job requirements can be quite tricky, and especially if you're kind of the only one who's like really excited about impact in your organization, then it's going to be you kind of feel like you're bearing that torch on your own. But I mean, again, I think we all are like I said, we all are really doing the work because we are really excited about it. So hopefully that helps to push past some of those challenges as well. Yeah, thanks.
Hey, thank you so much for that. Thank you. And our next question, it's a two-part question, and this goes to Tobe and Ayobami. So, the first part is, what's one mistake you made early on that has become a valuable lesson for you? And also, how do you measure the impact of the work you do?
Do you want me to go first?
You can go first, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for the question. So, I think looking at one big mistake I made, I'm just gonna have to draw from my experience of being a PhD student and being in academics, where there is a bit of hierarchy. Like it's although it's what they wouldn't say it, but then there is a bit of hierarchy, just like in the industry, where you have like different level being like your boss and then you and like that. But then here, even with that, sometimes it could be slightly blurred because you might feel like you have you have within your power to do some certain things. And I'll try and explain. And what I meant was when I first started my PhD, I thought as a PhD student, like you could just tell your professors that this draft that I've written, this is just a sample just to share with you that I've started writing. But then I didn't realize that anything you share with your boss is more like you're requesting for a feedback, or you're requesting that they spend their time reviewing it. And the time that they spend reviewing it, when you did need an actual review, you've already kind of used that time up. And when you think you're now done and ready, like, okay, to then ask for the review, they will then tell you, like, well, you sent the draft before and I reviewed that. Now, that one was not quite ready, but then you shared the draft anyway. And I got to learn that was after I've made that mistake. But then in the course of sharing my draft out, even though when I know it was very rough, extremely unfinished, I was able to learn from the experience that you don't share what you know is still kind of like extremely rough, something that you know is not close to the finished product you want, with someone who has the capacity to make a decision on what you're doing. Because each time you share something, you're expecting a feedback. To you, you might feel like you just want to casually do it. You just want to casually say this. I just want to casually push my idea out there. But then if you're not quite ready for the feedback, which might either probably improve your work in the long run, or possibly it could also have the other effect, it's best you hold it on to yourself first. Ensure you get it in the shape that you're ready to then share and then get a feedback before you do that. But even while I made that mistake, I was also glad I did, because when the draft came back to me, I was able to use that to learn like academic writing. So before I started my PhD, I wasn't really the person who is into academic writing. I've done some bit of writing, but they were not quite up to that standard. Then when I got the feedback, it was so much, because first of all, I said it was a very rough draft, meaning a draft that I've never read, proofread very well, looked at how the ideas have like good flow. I was just trying to say, oh, you were asking me if I was working on it, and I'm just showing you that, yeah, this is it. You see, I'm working on it. That's all. I just wanted to for information. But then when I got the feedback, I was able to sit back. I'm like, oh no, even though area that I was thinking about, even the problem I think I was solving, I wasn't even addressing it properly. I wasn't even thinking right about how to write in the first instance. I wasn't even thinking right about how to clarify what I was talking about and the message I was passing across. And that one mistake has been what has actually helped my academic writing now. And when I look back, I'm so glad I sent that rough draft to my supervisor, and then he was able to use that to kind of dissect like potential problems I will have down the line in my PhD journey. So what I'll say is, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because when I did it, it didn't occur to me that it was a mistake. But then when I got the feedback was when I realized that, oh God, this was a big mistake. You don't share something like this. But at least it also helped me to be a better person from the experience. And now looking at the metrics for measuring success, being in academics, as Emily said, most times it's all about publication, because the key thing in academics is all about communicating. And you either communicate through your publications into journals that you know that the audience within your research field typically read, or you could also communicate by attending conferences where you can present information about your research to people of like mind, get feedback, refine it, and then bring it together into a proper publication and share it out there. Or you could also contribute in another way by maybe being a peer reviewer, organizing conferences yourself, or trying to mentor the people that are like your other people coming just right behind you. So now you then have to look specifically at your area, because as I said, our resources are limited, which is the time you have, the effort you have, the energy you have, the money you have, and the PhD time itself is very limited. And then you have to then rank all of these metrics in order of importance to your career path as well. Even though you want to do all of it, you might be quite selective. Like in my own PhD, even though it wasn't explicitly stated, but along the line, I got to realize that publication is important. So that for me will be a priority. Conferences are also good, but it's not as important as the publication, because the PhD type that I'm doing is PhD by publication. So in my case, I might want to prioritize my own output as each of the paper that I need to publish. But in some other scenario where they tell you that having it published or not published is fine, you might decide that, In addition to probably few publications, then I'll prioritize the conferences where I also get to meet with the other professors as well as other people within my research field. Or you could decide that you prioritize the mentorship part where you do like the peer review work, you also organize conferences, or you decide to mentor people. So it's now kind of had to boil down to you and the type of research you're doing. I'm just saying this from the academic perspective. Possibly when Toby talks about from the industrial perspective, it might be different than if you're trying to channel your energy into going to academics. It's very important you keep it at the back of your mind that communication, science communication is key because that's our own final end product. Just like people create websites, people create other products that physical product people use, but our own products here, and which they often use in measuring the impact of what you've been doing. It's more in terms of how much publication you've given out and then how much communication. So if you ask me to prioritize, I tell you publication and conferences, because even in that you get to submit abstract, and those abstracts also some of them get published. So it's kind of lumped up together with your publication. And then the other part of the mentorship, you can do it as the time goes, yeah, and as you have more time. But that's it from my own side. So drawing it all together, the mistake I made was to send a draft that wasn't quite ready, which I wasn't ready. I'm so sorry about that. If I said it in the background talking, I do apologize. Part of what it takes to be in tech, you have to keep managing family and managing yourself in the process. So, like I said, the drawing from my experience of sending a draft that wasn't finished, I was glad I made that mistake because going forward, I'm not going to do that anymore. Anything I have to do, I have to make sure that it's close to finished because I always think from the end point of what feedback am I going to get from this or what exactly am I expecting. It's even preferable I have a physical conversation with someone about what I need to do rather than sending something and then getting back a feedback when I'm not quite ready for it. But in the same time, for me personally, it was helpful for me. But drawing the big lesson of being able to know that now, no, you do things from the lens of what do you want to get back, not just from the lens of I just want to get it done, but you think forward to the feedback you're going to get and the final output from it first before you do things. So that's one. And second one is depending on your field, different metrics. In academics, it's publication and communication, and then you have to pick which aspect of this communication you need to prioritize. If you know it's going to be like publication type of PhD, please prioritize your publication from the day one, from the first day you start your PhD. Prioritize that because towards the end, I can tell you it's a race, and it's a crazy race to just make sure you get to the end line. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks.
All right. I think that was really, really cool. Just to add to that, for me, coming from a technical background, one of the mistakes I made in my entire career was at the early stage of my career, and it was technically assuming all you need to succeed is the technical skills. Right. So I will reiterate this over and over again. Being someone that started as a tech support web developer, I thought it was all about writing SQL query, Python script, and all of that stuff. But the moment I moved to the US and I started working with organization and pivoted after my master's, pivoted into the data space, I found out without the business domain expertise, you would not climb the ladder, right? And now I speak all this business term, right? It's like I've gone from analyzing marketing data to product data to understand usage, engagement, adoption, utilization, marketing to help them invest their marketing dollars across media mix channels to healthcare. I worked in 3 different healthcare companies analyzing patient data, medical data, and business vertical data. Finance, I built financial modeling. It's like technically I have navigated the entire business vertical, right? And that include working in small companies. I started from the small company, and I would say that's like one of the biggest lessons as well. That was where I explored my challenges, my mistake, and I was able to grasp and move forward. Worked in small size, pivoted into FANG company, Fortune 500 startup, and also being able to put my mistakes together learned the business side, and I was able to transfer my knowledge across. When I worked in healthcare, I started analyzing patient data. Then slowly I pivoted into the business vertical because I knew I didn't want to limit myself to just healthcare industry. I wanted to be able to transition to any industry at any point in time. And when the recruiter from Google reached out to me, I was working in healthcare. So some people will wonder, like, how does your skills from healthcare transition into tech? That's because of the domain I was working in. I was working in the growth department as a data science and analytics lead. And they're like, hey, this is exactly what we need. And specifically in the subscription, the SaaS business model, right? So that was how I was able to transition to Google without any question asked about your previous background and whatnot. So the business side is very, very important because at the end of the day, we do not have data of our own to analyze. You're coming in as a data scientist or data analyst or AI product manager. You're building this product to be utilized by other teams or consumers, right? It's not yours, right? At the end of the day, it's either you sit in the marketing org or you sit in the product org or you sit like you have to sit somewhere and you're technically working for these people because they are the ones that needs to understand the insights and also like all of the metrics they're tracking from whatever you're building. So that's the biggest mistake. And I would re-echo that to everybody. Those of you with computer science background, that alone is not going to cut it. Because at the end of the day, you're just going to be looking like a lame software engineer. Like, I mean, you need to imagine how many times I have to re-echo, create a PRD, technical design doc for software engineers to bring the product to life. And they are just like as blunt as anything, right? So that's going to be your superpower. You have to lead with technical and business expertise. With your technical skills alone, you're just going to be at the back door. You just keep coding. Nobody will see your work, and everything just goes to the back. The business people outshine you all the time. They present your work, they get promoted, and you remain stagnant, right? So that's like one of the major things. And that has really helped me shape I also have an edtech startup as well as an AI startup. It has helped me shape my entire perspective in building startups and also supporting startup founders, right? Secondly, when it comes to measuring success, I would say professionally, all the work that I have done always ties to ROI. And I would say there's no better way to say that than doing that. Because in the healthcare space, yes, you're measuring patient return rates, readmission rate, and all of that stuff, but it ties to for every readmission or for every cancellation of healthcare subscription, how much is the company losing? So regardless of what the business or the industry calls their customer, it all ties to ROI. Patients are the customers for healthcare. Students are the customers for institution, right? Regardless of whatever they call it, at the end of the day, the end goal is for them to make money per student or per patient or per users, right? So if you're opportune to always pick a specific role that ties to the core business impact, which is revenue, I would say go for it. At the end of the day, everywhere you go, you take it along with you. Personally, I am on a mission to help empower the next generation of data and AI professionals. I do not want us to just be consumers. I feel we've consumed a lot. Blacks are the biggest, I mean, when we talk about statistically, they are the biggest org that actually spends so much on all of these softwares that are built by every other person. I want to be one of those people that will build the next generation of innovators, right? We've consumed a lot. A lot of us have not been opportune to have the FANG badge or the Google badge, but it's like we have someone that has been in the inside that have seen all of this stuff, that have learned all the frameworks. How about you share it with people that have not been opportune to land a role there? It's not about the money, it's more about the impact. And I would say for me, that has been a way I've been able to measure success. I started my edtech company 3 years ago, and I would confidently say 99% of the people that I have trained had zero technical background, zero tech experience when they joined. And today I can confidently say about 70% of them work in the big tech companies, right? In Fortune 500 companies. For me, that is more impactful than any work I'm doing at Google. And that's the route I'm driving to, right? I feel like if we have more of me, we can do more in the world rather than just having one person absorb all this knowledge. And at the end of them, like, Google, you have a lot of smart people. How about me just exit and go help my community? Right. So that's exactly how I measure success and also the quantified metrics.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you very much to all our speakers, Tobe, Emily, Chioma, and Ayobami.